Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ruckus and The Menace podcast. This is episode number 16. I am Ruckus.
And I'm Ruckus the Menace.
And tonight, and whenever you guys are listening to this, we are going to be talking about some things along the lines of MLB Allstar and all that later on. But for now, we're going to focus on what we've been doing in our lives. I'll let you start, Spendis.
Oh, I was gonna kind of because there was some bigger things on my end. I was gonna let you go first, Ruckus.
All right, that works. That works. All right, tossing it back. Okay. Um. So pretty much all I did was what I usually do: play video games, drink beer, watch sports, and still be eighth in my fantasy baseball league. But it is what it is. I'm progressing. I used to be like 16. I used to have only 16 points because yeah. Anyways, hard. It's kind of a long story. Um. Finished up the progress I wanted for MLB The Show. I didn't finish the whole program for the monthly or whatever couple weeks program, but I also played some Battlefield with a good friend of mine. And then as far as shows, Bar Rescue, I'm still kind of rocking Ash vs Evil Dead. I kind of took a break on that for a little bit. I think I talked about Stranger Things last week.
Yeah.
That was I have now just been kind of rewatching King of the Hill and really just watching a bunch of YouTube videos. I've been diving deeper into more 3D printing stuff for my hobby. But other than that, YouTube when it comes to Linus Tech Tips and other podcasts I listen to like Painkiller Already and Your Mom's House podcast.
Yeah, well, I've been on certainly busier this weekend, this past week. Some major life events have happened in progress. I think the biggest thing that I thought I had hinted to you Monday on Monday, but now has been official since Friday, is that I is that the stages more so are now more toward are now actually officially in engagement mode. So I did so kind of like what Martin Perez did a few days beforehand. I can't believe I used that as a stud to lead into foreshadowing that now I am engaged to be married again.
Congrats, dude.
So yeah, and
Dude, that's always a nerve-wracking thing it seems when,
yes,
and I haven't even experienced that, but I just feel like because like as far as just my life like that, I when it comes to just girls in general, it's kind of awkward, but also at the same time you just don't know when the right time is, no matter if you're proposing to someone, which I've never done yet, but also like I'm just not good with women. I'm
oh,
just gonna say that.
in due time, man, in due time. But it's one of those things where I I think just culture in terms of that regard has changed so much.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure.
I feel very fortunate and blessed as well that this ended up being a much better circumstance, and everything worked out. Um, During that weekend, we went and saw Thor: Love and Thunder that same Friday night. Um, Solid movie. I felt like a few things were definitely like it felt like the transitions were missing. It felt like this movie and normally I'm talking about, oh, this movie could have been cut down, this movie could have been cut down. Like, no, this one, they say it's under 2 hours, but it could have went another it could have went another 15-20 minutes and I'd have been more than okay.
They didn't pull like the 11:59 thing where they like do like 1:59.
It was a 150, it was a 159.
Oh, so they did.
It was a 159. It was a 159 that probably should have been probably had they really been given the proper time.
So like a
It
2:15, like you were
it
saying.
probably like a 210, 215, and you could have gotten a better story fleshed out, or a
but
more fleshed out story.
but
Christian
more.
Bale is
Sorry.
Christian Bale is solid in it, and I like the direction that they're going in the future. No spoilers, but an actor from Ted Lasso is going to be involved. So it makes me stoked to kind of see what, and I'll give the actor's name, what Brett Goldstein brings to the table for the MCU.
Oh, I thought it was Jason Sudeikis. I was like, there's no way in hell he would actually
No,
be. Could you imagine?
no,
Could you
no.
imagine?
They didn't pull they didn't pull the actual actor that played Ted Lasso, which is Sudeikis.
Yeah,
They
I
pulled
thought you were limiting to that, so I was like, should I say it?
no, they pulled Roy Kent.
I want to be honest though, if Jason Sudeikis was in the MCU, he would have to be a villain because he was really good in Horrible Bosses, and like I don't
Oh,
see him really as a like hero unless
oh
he's like a really
I think
sarcastic hero.
I think I think that had they not pulled like Bradley Cooper for it, I think he probably could have done a solid rock. He probably could have done a solid Rocket or something like that.
It wouldn't be the
But
same.
yeah, that is true. Um, but I will. Though now that I had mentioned that Brett Goldstein is in, or going to be in, I'm not mentioning anything about his role because that's some little bit of spoiler as to what's going on with him. But then the next evening, we went to the Christmas in July game for the Salem Red Sox, and I got to see 3 out of the top 20 in Boston's prospect pool. But also the team we saw, the Kannapolis Cannonballers, we got to see. I also got to see the number 6 prospect for the Chicago White Sox. They're at
Is it Cespedes?
no, Cespedes is a little further up the no, Cespedes is a little higher ranked and is also a little further up the double A double or the prospect, the minor league system.
Yeah.
It was actually the third baseman. It was actually a third baseman for the it was the third baseman for the Cannonballers.
Nice.
You know, he was number 6 for the White Sox. So both of them have like some great players coming up the pipeline, and speaking of things coming up the pipeline, we've got more prospects in terms of that. But we want to kind of get into what we do best because I've already kind of started that way with talking about Salem, the Salem Red Sox and Kannapolis Cannonballers. And in segueing into prospects, the MLB draft was this past weekend. A lot of second generation talent came through, especially in the early rounds. The top 2 picks included Jackson Holliday, who is the son of Matt Holliday, famously of the Colorado Rockies. And Drew Jones, the son of Andrew Jones, was also taken. Some other second generation prospects that came along were the son of Carl Crawford was drafted.
Really? Hmm. I saw that the Royals drafted a outfielder number 9 overall from Virginia Tech, and then
Yeah,
another guy from Arkansas that's a third baseman named Caden Wallace at number 49 overall.
yeah. Kamar Rocker was drafted 3rd overall. Kamar Johnson, Elijah Greene was and he is the son of tight end, NFL Pro Bowl tight end Eric Greene. Then you had Jacob Berry at 6, Cade Horton at 7. The outfielder you're talking about was Gavin Cross.
Yeah, what did I say before? Gavin? Gaden?
Yeah, but it was
My bad.
Gavin Cross. Let's see. Zach Neto was drafted by the Angels. Jace Young was drafted by the younger brother of Josh Young was drafted by the the Detroit Tigers. The son of Carl Crawford was Justin Crawford. The son of former big leaguer Lou Collier, Cam Collier, was drafted after reclassing up, ending up being drafted by the Cincinnati Reds. Owen Murphy was drafted by the Braves. I'm trying to see some other like really good like other notable picks. Drew Gilbert was drafted by the Astros. The Red Sox drafted Mikey Romero. Kind of was very well brought into, endorsed by Marcelo Meyer. Also being some notables from things, the Diamondbacks drafted Landon Sims. Robbie Snelling was drafted by the Padres. Jacob Melton by the Astros. Jed Fabian by the Orioles. Compensation picks. The Rockies ended up getting Sterling Thompson. There were definitely quite a few different picks that were made, and I think there's some excitement out of the first day's draft picks, and I will mention more about one of those picks later in a future segment. As you can tell, I left one of them off, as I will mention him later.
Yeah,
Nationals out.
I was trying to find a article for the Kansas City Star about the local pitchers and players that got drafted just in general to the MLB, but I could not find it. Anyways, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and this one, and the one that I kind of mentioned away was, we don't get a whole lot of them here, so whenever I get a chance, it matters a lot.
Yeah, and I did a lot of research on the players that were in the NFL draft that were local to my area too. But
yeah. But Nationals outfielder Juan Soto rejected a 15-year, $440 million deal from the Nationals. And the team is now listening to offers for him and is kind of wanting an exorbitant price tag for him. This is huge. As realize that Soto is 23. For him to have a 15-year deal, that kind of really means that he, unless there's opt-outs at certain points, he won't be able to attract another deal until he's 38. So that pretty much is like locking him in for his entire career.
he also didn't like the fact that it was leaked, according to ESPN, just in general, because it was apparently that's why he was wanting to get a trade in general, or a possible trade, because of the fact that of the privacy he didn't get as far as that.
Or is the unveilment of the deal?
Well, when it was after he rejected it that he didn't like that people were leaking it.
Oh wow, that's
just on him at that point.
Well, that's just on the honestly, that's on the people that try to like scoop it out from the inside and trying to do that. And that but that to me almost kind of leads into the point that yeah, this we may not get heavily into the trade deadline in the high heat this week just simply because of we got a whole nother week before the trade deadline really sets itself forward. But the real question here is, does Juan Soto get dealt during this deadline, or is there not enough time to really have a good deal be processed?
Couldn't he just go into free agency like the other younger stars, or does he still have another year with the Nationals?
Hmm.
Like, is this like a contract year for Soto, or was this just them trying to snag him for pretty much his whole career?
I think it's them trying to snag him because he's on a 1 year, $17.1 million deal as the Nationals avoided arbitration. He is eligible for arbitration over the next 2 years before hitting free agency in 2025. So, what this is that it
They're trying to be
makes
cheaper.
it makes them want to have to save money, but they're dealing with arbitration. You're dealing with arbitration at
Yeah.
that point. So he's on arbitration for 2 more years before officially becoming an unrestricted free agent. Arbitration is almost like the restricted free agent process.
Yeah.
Um, what I see with this is that the Nats are trying to cheap their way out, trying to pay less, but of course they're wanting to try and bring in more.
So is this essentially like a franchise tag, like in the NFL?
Yeah, almost like, except it's like a combination of a franchise tag and a restricted free agent.
Also, like a combination of like, okay, you can't just like tag one player. You could actually, it's just like a group of people that are due for it.
Right, yeah. And just about every single team is going to have that. Yeah. But Juan Soto, in this case, I just think that it's almost like, ultimately a team is going to have to pay.
Right.
But I think the wave that needs to come about for baseball is not long deals with massive amounts of money.
Which is
I
what we
think it's
learned from Eric
honestly,
Hosmer too with the Royals.
I would say it's going to be shorter deals with still a good amount of money, but those shorter deals with opt outs because players are going to continue to move. I mean, look at what Carlos Correa did. And I think Carlos Correa is probably the best example of this. But I think that the price tag for Juan Soto is going to be so ridiculously high that if the Nationals truly let him go, they really are in fire sale mode. And they are going to need an exorbitant amount of prospects out of a farm system. It's going to come with about at least the top two, if not three or four, out of the top five of a team's farm system.
Quick question: as far as a as the Nationals as a whole, do they still have Victor Robles?
Yes.
Is he having a good season, or is he injured?
Not from what I can tell. I believe they still do have Victor Robles.
Because I have a feeling if they end up trading Juan Soto, not only would they like have less talent to go with depending on who they get, because yes, he's going to be very valuable and still is very valuable, but who knows who they're gonna get, and I don't know if they really necessarily want prospects for him. They might also be asking
Oh,
for
they're
like
gonna want
MLB
players
ready
too. Yeah,
players.
they're gonna want MLB ready players too. But
It's kind of like it kind
um,
of also reminds me of the Royals trade between Wade Davis and James Shields for Will Myers, Jake Odorizzi, and God, who was the other one?
is this the deal that sent?
This is the one with Wade Davis and James Shields for Jake Odorizzi, Will Myers. I thought there was a third player involved in that one for the Royals.
No, because was this the deal that sent Hosmer? Are you talking the deal that sent Hosmer to San Diego?
No, I'm talking a trade that happened during the 2012 or 2013
Deadline.
off. It was the off season for the 2013 in 2013 because it was to get James Shields and Wade Davis. Let me look it up.
Yeah, because Will Myers is a Padre, but I don't know. I think because you're saying Will Myers.
Right. All right. So here we go. The Kansas City Royals gamble their future Sunday night for a chance to win right now. The Royals acquired former All-Star James Shields and fellow right-hander Wade Davis in a six-player deal that sent top prospects Will Myers and Jake Odorizzi along with two minor league players to the Rays.
Oh yeah, that was, and Will Myers eventually ended up becoming the 2013.
He ended up being a freaking All-Star with the Padres.
Yeah, because I think that was the. Yeah, he eventually ended up winning the 2013. Will Myers eventually ended up winning the Toronto or the 2013 Rookie of the Year for the AL.
Yeah. But I just remember James Shields as being kind of a budget All-Star pitcher.
Yeah.
Because, yes, he got us to the postseason, but he also suffered a lot when it came to giving up home runs. But, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's like on that same level, but it definitely could get interesting here soon. But here's the deal, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to get traded during the deadline, but I would not be surprised if he does. But at the same time, I think he stays with the Nationals. Because let's be honest, this is probably one of the first times he's going to be talked about as far as the trade deadline. Whit Merrifield was the same way with the Royals for like many years, and now people are trying to figure out whether he's going to get traded
I think
for
Witt could get
prospects.
dealt. I think Witt could get dealt. But ultimately,
We'll have to see.
I think the real player that I think the Royals will look to deal is probably going to be Andrew Benintendi.
I mean, the Yankees ended up scratching him from their list because he wasn't vaccinated, and the same goes for Whit Merrifield.
Yeah, I mean, there's only certain I mean, granted that New York. But the problem is that New York and California are both full of like weird state law. Like
That in
they're still,
Canada,
yeah, in Canada, yeah. So Toronto is going to scratch them.
because let's be honest here, that was the reason why Andrew Benintendi was shaved off from the Yankees. Uh, because of the fact that he was one of the 10 players that was uh, taken to the restricted list during the 4-game road stand against Toronto,
Yeah, the road trip against Toronto. Yeah,
which I thought it was a benefit because the rookies looked pretty decent, but here we are.
yeah. But it's almost like who knows what ends up happening at that point.
We'll just have to play it out, man. We'll just have to play it
Yep.
out.
And then speaking of players who are now setting up themselves for trades. It just broke earlier today that switching gears from baseball to football, the Jimmy G is now going to be allowed to seek out a trade.
Wasn't he technically trying to get a trade, but then uh, Well, I guess that makes sense to the whole news thing to
Yeah, because
delay, but like,
now that he's cleared to practice.
because I thought like a while back when they were doing the rumors for this crap during free agency, they were saying like, oh, he could be dealt, and they said the same thing about Debo.
Yeah,
But I think Debo also was able to seek a trade though, wasn't he? Like during free agency.
something like or something along those lines. But I don't think Debo is going to get dealt. But Jimmy G might, just simply because Trey Lance is now the future.
Right. And they were saying the same the on the very ironic point of that was when Tom Brady was still with the Patriots and they drafted Jimmy G. They were saying, "Oh, Jimmy G is going to be the future," and it turns out that Tom Brady is still in the NFL. And then they
Yeah,
ended up trading him to the 49ers. Not Brady, but Jimmy G.
yeah. So the question is, where does Jimmy G possibly find himself ending up?
Cleveland Browns.
I actually am going to say that I think the team that will probably make the bye might be the Cleveland Browns, but I also would consider the Atlanta Falcons as a destination as well.
Honestly, I don't think the Browns could make that smart of a move. That's too smart for them. I would say instead of let's fuel the dumpster fire instead and put them in the hands of the Houston Texans.
I think you got Davis Mills, and I think they're just going to stay there. I I would look at Jimmy G to be I think the Falcons should be the first pursuer.
That'd be a good
Uh
idea too. Except for you're already gambling with Calvin Ridley. He's
oh well Calvin I think they already bought him out.
Wait,
I
really?
think Calvin Ridley I think Ridley's already suspended. He's already suspended. We're saying that the NFL should lessen the suspension on him, but he's currently suspended.
So he, in Wheel of Fortune terms, he's bankrupt
Yeah.
for the
Yeah, he is
suspension.
currently suspended indefinitely. Yeah, so I don't see that being something that really should worry much. And plus, Atlanta's already got Drake London and Kyle Pitts for Garoppolo to throw to. Should he be
Yeah.
there?
Also, you could pull what the Chiefs did, bring in a veteran, and then have him like talk to the rookies, and have Kyle Pitts or whomever sit on the sideline for a year. But it's not always gonna be that set and dry for each quarterback, and
Right.
some are just like literally just chilling out there in the starting position getting rammed by the defensive line of the other teams while the offensive line on the team that player was drafted on like is pretty like rough. It's like no man's land.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Cuz look at
And
Joe
I think
Burrow and look at Josh Fields a couple
you
years
mean
ago.
Justin Fields?
Yeah, Justin Fields. My bad. I get my fields all mixed up.
Yeah. But I mean, but it's not like Justin Fields is bad. It's just Burrow. I think Burrow ended up with a really, really good situation, and minus a major injury, Burrow's played great.
I think he just learned more on how to get the ball out quicker. Even though he suffered a lot of sacks and stuff, he's just a really durable player. But Justin Fields, like, it just was running all over the damn place. And yes, he is a versatile quarterback, kind of like Patrick Mahomes, but not on like the same tier. But like that man can run around, but you gotta protect your quarterback. If you're going like, oh, I'm going to spend my number one pick on a quarterback that looks pretty damn good on paper and film, you gotta protect the man. I don't care how you
Yeah,
do it, but you gotta do it better than like it, because like offensive lines at that point are kind of like putting toilet paper in a toilet bowl, that paper is gonna dissolve, and you're just gonna show a big hole in that offensive line, and they're just gonna go right through it. Doesn't matter if you're a quarterback or a running back, they're gonna go through it.
Right. But then there's a couple of other football headlines that we want to see. We got people complaining about their Madden ratings. Jamar Chase missed the top 10 for wide receivers. Najee Harris missed the top 10 for running backs, and they were not pleased.
Honestly, it's
I
a joke
mean,
of a game.
yeah, I mean, like they're just not pleased with it. But
I wouldn't be
Jamar
pleased
Chase,
either.
Jamar Chase, I think definitely belonged
Yeah, and Tom Brady was even
belonged in
saying
that.
saying, "Yo, like they didn't actually put me in for like this until like my second year," is what Tom Brady replied to
Oh,
Jamar.
oh yeah, but I don't even think then it was like okay, it was so far back that in the draft that they didn't even know who he was. That Tom Brady was such an unknown. I mean, Tom Brady was such an unknown that during his rookie year, he wasn't even mentioned in a Madden game. They had to wait a year to put respect on his name.
Yep, and I don't know. The Chiefs, I was like looking at what the Chiefs ratings were for the wide receivers. The highest one is only a level 80, and that's Juju Smith-Schuster. And then like the rest of them are like maybe in like the high 70s to lower 70s to higher 60s, which is kind of concerning, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
Travis Kelsey is a overall 98.
98. Yeah,
I was happy about that.
he'll make the 99 club soon enough.
I thought he already did though last year.
He's he's done it at one point, but I think he'll quickly make it again soon enough.
They could do what the show does and just like boost up his numbers, and then have like
I'm
lightning effects.
there's supercharges, but I think within like the first the first couple of roster updates, Kelsey's gonna hit 99. I don't think we worry about a thing.
Right.
J.K. Dobbins called out a reporter over the recovery time with his knee. I mean, basically just gave Ian Rappaport of NFL Network the old clapback about his
Also
knee
known
and
as also known as Rap Sheet by the Pat McAfee show.
yep, yep, basically rap sheet. Um, and a couple of players in the NBA who have now chosen to stay put. DeAndre Ayton with the Phoenix Suns, and James Harden will be staying in Philly.
What were the final numbers on Aiton's contract? Because I saw a bunch of reports like, oh, so and so gave him a better offer than what the Phoenix Suns did, and they had a certain amount of time to comply. It felt like a hostage situation, at least from the report.
Yeah. City was happy with the resolution after signing a 4-year, $133 million max contract.
Not bad, not bad. And then Harden said he was going to take a pay cut to stay with the team.
Oh yeah, I think the Harden deal was more recent. It
His
was a
was a yeah. Go ahead.
2 years, $68 million deal,
Yep.
or almost 68.6 million,
Still
including a.
overpaid.
Oh yeah, it was entirely too much.
For a freaking diva, you're better off just putting him on a reality show.
Oh my gosh.
Just
I
saying,
mean,
if you're not gonna play basketball, at least like act like it.
he was dating a Kardashian at a certain point too.
Wait, the beard was dating dating
I
uh
believe James Harden has a tie to Kardashian. Or he actually dated Chloe from 2015 to 2016.
probably whenever he was like semi not like bearded, I guess maybe. I don't know,
No,
but
I think
those.
no, I think he still had the beard.
I mean, those girls go through women like clothes over a year. Like it's
Yeah,
ridiculous. I'm
yeah,
just saying that straight up.
yeah. Harden said that he didn't like all the attention that came with dating a Kardashian.
Good for him.
Oh yeah, I mean that just the whole thing involving the Kardashians. It's just no matter what ends up being the case, is that you're seemingly constantly ending up with a lot of attention, and now we and now that all the attention has been shifted from contracts and everything else, we now go into the past as sport history is next. All of these events occurred on July 20th. In 1916, the at the time it was the New York Giants. It's now in San Francisco. They've been relocated to San Francisco,
Also, not a
but they
football
traded.
team.
Yeah, this is the baseball Giants, as they traded future Hall of Famer Christy Mathewson to the Reds. In 1970, on this day in 1976, Hank Aaron hit his 755th and final home run of his career. In 1994, O.J. Simpson offers a $500,000 reward for evidence in the murder of his ex-wife. Yet, all the information probably still, despite the glove not fitting, we probably have the conspiracy theory out there very clearly that says OJ did it.
Also, why not just look at his book?
If he did it, clearly, I mean, he's living rent free off of the
OJ, if you're
concept that
listening
he
to this, I
didn't do it.
apologize. Also,
Oh,
it was coming no matter what was gonna happen, so like
oh
if
yeah, it was clearly there. But in terms of world soccer in 2020, Cristiano Ronaldo becomes the first player to score 50 goals in a career of in the professional leagues in England, the Premier League, Spain with La Liga, and and more recently with this that led to this in Italy, playing in Serie A, scoring scoring both goals in a 2-1 victory over Lazio while playing for Juventus. So, to, Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the prolific players of this time, along with Lionel Messi. Although I personally am more of a Messi guy because of just how complete of a player he is. But
I thought you
Ronaldo
were gonna
is a
say the amount of Doritos you eat,
oh no. I
cause
was
you would be a messy guy at that point with your
well,
fingers.
there would have been the pun. Yeah, I see where the pun was going, but in this case, I'm not talking like messy as in like
I know, I
completely sloppy.
know.
This is with an I, not a Y.
I'm just being a
you
dingus.
you were you were taking the pun. You were taking it based off of the letters
I was taking it way
or
too
off of the
far
word.
as well. I was
Yeah.
taking it.
Uh, that's with a last name that has pronunciations like that, or and almost a spelling nearly the same. It doesn't surprise me that it went in that direction. But now we move on to the high heat, where we are now recapping MLB's All-Star Week. As today is the final day for some of these teams in the All-Star break. And so what's kind of gone on over the last couple of days? We've had
The home run
the
derby.
the celebrity softball game, where we'll have some things about that
Wasn't
involving
the rookies game like the futures game
oh
like the same night?
there was a futures game. Oh yeah, I think the futures game was I forgot. I completely didn't even see anything about the futures
I
game.
didn't see any advertising for that, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is.
But the futures game, Shea Langoliers won the MVP as the AL beat the NL. You had Jason Dominguez, Matt Wallner, and Langoliers propelled the American League to a 6-4 victory over the National League. And Dominguez was also promoted from the low A team to the Hudson Valley Renegades.
Is low A pretty much just single A?
Yeah, pretty much single A. Yeah.
Okay.
You have A, then A plus. Yeah. So Dominguez got promoted. Matt Wallner. Now I actually want to look at the prospect rankings. Because now we have the top 100 prospects as, let's see here, you had Jason Dominguez. Jason Dominguez is the 39th ranked prospect. Shea Langoliers is the 31st ranked prospect in baseball. And right now the number 1 ranked prospect is Riley Greene. And what
That sounds familiar. Is it a different Greene compared to the Detroit Tigers Greene?
No, this is the Detroit Tigers one that actually just made the MLB.
Because
Just
I
made
was say
MLB.
that sounds familiar.
Yep. They just have him still listed as a prospect at this point.
Hopefully he does better than his homie Spencer Torkelson over there.
Yeah. And then here's the interesting thing. One of those prospects that I got to watch a few days ago is actually the number 10th ranked prospect, and that was Marcelo Meyer. Yeah, Marcelo Meyer is the number 10 ranked prospect.
I still think it's cool that you get to see a game like that and then see like prospects in action, because like I technically saw that with Bobby Witt, but he was already a major leaguer at that point. But like still, that's awesome. Sometimes you get the easiest way to like see that, besides just going to like where they're going for like their single A or double A or triple A, is like going to spring training when they're invited to it.
Yep. And basically where I was at was Wes Cath, who was the Kannapolis Cannonballer that was the number 6 for the White Sox. And yeah, it was Marcelo Meyer was number 1. I mean, Tristan Casas is on rehab playing rookie ball right now. Brian Bello just got sent down. Jeter Downs is called all the way up. The other ones were Blaze Jordan, and I saw Brainer Benassi.
Wait, so Blaze was actually called up or down?
No, Blaze was in no, Blaze is still in Salem.
Okay.
No, but Tristan Casas is on rehab at the rookie ball facility due to an injury. And actually, I also saw Edinson Paulino as well, who is actually number 19 on the prospect board for Boston as well. So pretty much all these prospects are very notable as far as the futures game. The A's number 1 was Langoliers. Mason Wynn. Get a load of this. This Cardinals prospect. And he is currently ranked the number 4 ranked Cardinals prospect. Threw a ball from the shortstop spot 100.5 miles an hour.
So a little bit less than O'Neal Cruz currently throws.
No. This was faster.
I thought O'Neal did like 110.
No, that was off the bat.
I thought it.
That it was a
Interesting.
96-mile-an-hour throw.
Okay, I was to say like, damn, 105 is pretty damn fast. I'd be afraid to be a first baseman at that
Yeah,
point
it
trying
was
to
a
catch
100. No, it was
that.
a 100.5. So it was 100 miles an hour, but it was only just over by about a half mile an hour.
I just hope that lasts because let's be honest, when your velocity hits that, just trying to throw a damn ball to first base or wherever you throw it, that could get to the point where your arm wears down. Kind of like how Brett Phillips' arm wore down whenever he got traded to the Royals from the Moustakas trade. I remember seeing headlines all the time about how Brett Phillips was like had a gun of an arm, and then like eventually a couple weeks or a month went by, and then he was stashed on the IR or IL at the
Yeah,
time.
but injuries can do that.
Right. I'm not saying it's inevitable. I'm just saying like, damn, like hopefully that lasts.
Yep. But further along the way, I mean, we had the All-Star softball, the celebrity softball game, where clearly that was just an exhibition for fun, where we can clearly make fun of guys like or people like JoJo Siwa for missing ball for missing a ball, or
I just love seeing all the celebrities and see who they bring in, and that's pretty much what I look for in that celebrity game. And like the crappy thing was, I got a recording from the MLB Network one on YouTube TV, and obviously it had to skim around due to time constraints, but I wanted to see like a lot of the stuff, and when I looked for it on YouTube just in general, besides YouTube TV, it was just like this one guy that edited the footage, and the editing was bad. Like it was like picture the editing like someone like being the DJ in the car on a road trip and just skipping a song after a couple minutes of playing it. That's how this video felt. It was bad. And I was very
yeah,
upset because I was like, "Come on! Like, I want to like see what actually happens, not just little
yeah,
snippets."
yeah, like 100 pens.
I got to see that, but apparently Vlad Guerrero Sr. was batting
Yeah, I will.
for.
Yeah, we'll mention that here a little later too, because I definitely had something to call out on that.
When you told me about that, I was like, "Are you kidding me? I didn't even get to see that because I only got to see David Ortiz." And
Yeah,
like
but that was the only. Yeah, but I was agreeing that that was the only one we got to see out of
that
it.
was bullcrap.
Yeah, but we ready to flash forward about a couple days later.
Sure thing.
Yep, and on Monday night was the home run derby, where my gosh, quite a bit of shows were done. Julio Rodriguez,
That man is a freaking genius. His bullpen pitcher was
or
like
the batting
literally just
practice
like,
pitcher. Yep.
I mean, in general, he was throwing it like nothing. He looked like a salsa dancer out there. He was just like using one hand to do it. It was ridiculous. I thought I was like losing my mind when I saw that.
Yep. Acuna falls to the polar bear. Childish Bambino defeated Jose Ramirez, and Pujols makes it to the semifinals after a hard rally from Schwarber.
I felt bad for Buchholz because he's obviously up in age. Doesn't have the same stuff he had when he was obviously in his prime and whatnot, but I gotta give it up to Pujols. He used his veteran ability and past experiences of home run derbies to like get an advantage over Schwarber, but Schwarber in general just didn't look like he was up to plate. He just
Yep.
kind of swung at pitches that he thought were going to be good, and then they ended up being line drives or hitting the wall, but not actually getting out.
Yeah. And then in the semifinal, Julio Rodriguez just straight up smoked Pete Alonso by, I think it was by like 10 home runs.
It could have been like
Just,
5 though if you switch out the hitting pitcher, because my God, he was terrible.
and then Juan Soto defeated Pujols in a very very much a last second fashion to reach the final. This was the first time that both finalists were 23 or younger, where the Childish Bambino defeated Julio Rodriguez 19-18 to win the Derby. So, after the leak of a contract being rejected, Juan Soto goes in and wins the home run derby. Does this help or hurt the potential trade stock?
I don't think it really does a whole lot, to be honest, because if you think about it this way, yes, Juan Soto won the Derby, but there have been many other players that have shined on the home run derby stage, and it didn't really affect them all that much. Like, look at Josh Hamilton, for example, from 2008. He put on a show. I mean, he didn't. I don't think he won, but he definitely put on a show with the amount of home runs he hit, even if they didn't count. And he was still with the Rangers, and then eventually went to the Angels, and then back to the Rangers. But like, that man put on a show. The polar bear put on a show a couple years before that, and yes, he's a rookie and he is younger and whatnot. But like, I don't think that really brings up his stock. I think it just shows off the amount of potential he still has at his level that he's at right now.
Yeah. And then you have, yeah, and I think that's true because I think both of these players have huge upside. And the very next night, which for us would be last night, the AL won their 9th All-Star game in a row, 3-2 over the NL, and Giancarlo Stanton was named the All-Star MVP. It started out with the National League putting in 2 in the first inning with home runs by Goldschmidt and an RBI single by Mookie Betts. And in the 4th inning, Giancarlo hit an equalizing 2-run bomb to left center, and Buxton broke the tie with a solo home run to left, which pretty much rounded out the entire scoring. Otherwise, this thing was just nothing but a pitcher's duel that more oftentimes than not is just a game that ends quickly,
Yeah.
minus all of the pitching changes.
Yeah, and I got to see Benintendi a little bit as a Royals All-Star selection, but other than that, like, there wasn't like a whole lot besides just like the mic'd up parts, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. I think I really had some great positive things to say about that because it's an exhibition, for crying out loud. This is an
Yeah.
exhibition game. Let them have a little fun. And
Yeah.
that's all that's really supposed to be.
But speaking of that, you're
And
do
again,
you
now we're going to have a huge emphasis on Juan Soto this episode. This is the
um
Soto episode.
so this can I explain it?
Yep.
All right. So for this segment, we call it setting the lineup, and it is a weekly segment where Spence and I will have to start bench cut scenario, and we debate the decision. If you have any suggestions for the segment, mention them to us through the comment section on YouTube or our Twitter handles. Um,
Yep.
this
This
week
week,
is a Would You Rather Juan Soto edition.
Soto edition. So the concept behind this, we did this last week involving Baker Mayfield. The question stands there. Who would you rather build a franchise around? Juan Soto or the blank, which we will go through a list of players and we will figure out who out of all of these that I have here, the conditions behind this, all of these players are around the age of 25 or younger. So, no Bogarts, no Trevor Story, no like none of these players that we have here are older than 25. So this even eliminated Otani and Trout. So the question here, Juan Soto or Julio Rodriguez?
Soto.
I don't think we have enough of a sample size of Julio Rodriguez. I am going to take Juan Soto here.
That's the reason why I picked him, because like, well, we don't know, like you said, the sample size, but they're both outfielders, but Julio just got called up, so it's kind of hard to tell.
There is a little bit of a difference. Julio is a center fielder while Juan Soto is a corner outfielder. Vlad Jr.
I would take Vlad Jr. over Soto.
I actually am going to take Soto here. And the biggest thing that I have with this, left-handed bat. You can find right-handed bats just about anywhere.
I just like the upside for Vlad Jr. compared to Soto, but obviously Soto has gotten more experience with postseason experience and all that. But yeah.
Yeah. Bobby Witt Jr.
I'm a Royals fan at heart, so I gotta take Bobby Witt.
I again am going to take Soto. I think I'm going to take Soto here. Just a little more experienced, a little more polish. Bobby Witt again, also a rookie.
Yeah.
Ronald Acuna Jr.
Juan Soto, because here's the thing, Acuna, yes, he technically might have won a World Series with the Braves, but he was on the injured list for that, so we didn't get to see a full like experience of him. But in the past, when it came to postseasons, like he was kind of mid tier when it came to his performance. But Soto's actually won one.
I think I have a little bit more agreement here. The injuries do hurt Acuna a lot more than what they realize. I'm building around Soto. Fernando Tatis Jr.
Fernando seems like a very reckless human being when it comes to off the field stuff and on the field. And he seems to get injured more than it's worth. And yes, he's starting to come back, but you don't know what's actually going to happen. So I'm going to say Juan Soto again.
I think I'm also going to take Soto here as well. Tatis, granted, he has the great positioning there, but I like Soto a little more defensively. Rafael Devers.
Man, this one's a little bit tougher because both have won World Series.
Both of them have won World Series. Both of them are left-handed bats. Devers is an infielder, Soto an outfielder.
I'd probably have to take Juan Soto because of his wow factor when it comes to intimidating the pitcher. Devers, yes, he can still intimidate the pitcher with like his power and his bat, but Soto puts it like on an extra level.
I think the difference here for me, and I am a Red Sox fan at heart, but I am going to take Soto in this case. The difference being that Soto is box office. Devers, Devers is great, but he's not the person bringing the butts to the seats. Devers is a great player, but I just don't think he is truly a solid face of a franchise. He's kind of like Powell in terms of, or maybe even like a Clay, where he's like a great supplement, but not the main. He's that excellent side, but not the main course. So he's more of a complementary piece.
Right.
Bo Bichette.
I'm gonna have to take experience on this one. Juan Soto.
I'm taking the lefty bat in this case. Juan Soto. Luis Robert.
I'm sorry, Louise. I'm gonna have to go with Juan Soto again with the experience. And yes, he's a right-handed bat, but still, like Soto just has the experience.
Soto. Yeah, I'm taking Soto here too. Adley Rushman.
Soto again.
I don't know in this case. And the reason why is because Adley Rushman's a catcher. And if you have a solid catcher back there, the rest is kind of going to be history.
Did Joe Mauer ever win a World Series?
Mauer did not, but think of some other guys who may have been younger that probably
I
have.
mean, yes, Salvi was a All-Star, or not an All-Star, a World Series MVP, also an All-Star, but like, yes, he also had power and whatnot. Joe Mauer also had the same thing, but the misfortune of the Minnesota Twins and their franchise. But he was a hell of a catcher, but still did not win a World Series. That's what my point was. But yeah, I see what you're going with that.
But
He's
I
still got
but
potential.
I love the potential. I love the upside that especially the Orioles have. But I think probably in terms of relevance in the franchise side of it, I think I'm going to slightly take Soto here. Wander Franco.
To me, Wander Franco seems like what the he's in the situation kind of like Mike/Giancarlo Stanton was in, where he had a big contract and then they were just waiting for a team to take him. So I would just say Juan Soto right off the bat.
I think I would take Wander Franco because here is where I'm going with this. Is there a lot of experience? No. Is Wander Franco playing the more important position on the field than Juan Soto is? I actually am going to say yes. Wander Franco is a shortstop. Wander Franco is a switch hitter that can hit well from both sides. So I am actually going to, in a very, very slight advantage, I am going to take Wander Franco over Juan Soto here.
Okay.
I think that Wander Franco is also a little younger, so it gives a little bit more time for you to build around him.
Right.
Yordan Alvarez.
Soto. Pure speed and athleticism for Soto versus Jordan. Jordan has the power and the intimidation factor, but not as much as Soto.
Yeah, Soto a little bit better in the field. Yordan is purely for me a designated hitter. Jazz Chisholm.
Okay, this
Or
one's a little
Juan
bit
Soto.
harder for me, which is kind of weird because you were talking about how Wander has more potential, but Chisholm, he's a different breed, and different breeds have different feeling as far as how their potential is going to be. Yes, Wander is probably on that same level, but Jazz Chisholm, he's a very unique human being.
I like him a lot if he stays healthy.
Oh, for sure. I don't know. This one's tough. I would honestly still have to go with Juan Soto because the power is consistent, and yes, Juan Soto is not as fast as Jazz Chisholm as it seems, but athleticism is there for Juan Soto, and the experience is there.
You cannot teach speed, and Jazz Chisholm has it. I'm gonna take. I think I'm gonna take Jazz over Soto because corner outfielders can kind of be very, very supplemental pieces you can pick up, but you're not gonna get a very solid middle infielder that has that type of wheels very often. I'm gonna take Jazz Chisholm here. O'Neal Cruz.
Honestly, if you want a shortstop that has a good arm and also has some power that still needs to be tweaked as far as like the contact goes, you could go with him. And he's also on a team with a very small market and also not very competitive currently. Um, I don't know. I would have to go Juan Soto on this one.
Soto because I think that O'Neal Cruz, I think, is still needing to be molded. Key
But
Brian Hayes.
still, I'm gonna have to agree with you on the same boat with Cabrian Hayes because this man, I feel like, was put in too early last year because, let's be honest, yes, we all make mistakes, but how do you mess up not running to first base to get to the inside the park home run stuff that goes on like last year he did happened where he got called out because he didn't tag first base.
Didn't touch first, yeah.
Yeah. Um and also he's still young, he's still got time to improve and develop, but he's not in the right team for that. But I would still go Juan Soto because of just the experience and athleticism that this man still has.
Yeah, I'm going to take Soto still in that very raw and unrefined stage. Austin Riley.
Um, if I had to choose between Austin Riley as a third baseman versus what the Braves have as far as their market goes, I would honestly want to upgrade and get Juan Soto just because he would help the outfield a lot as far as being on right or left field, but also help you in the hitting department. Yes, Austin Riley has had his ups and downs. He helped in the postseason last year for the Braves for the most part, but he still has room to improve.
Yeah, I think it's just a little more polished, not much. I think that Austin Riley is capable of being built around, but I think Soto is more move-in ready. Nico Horner.
Juan Soto.
Yeah, Soto. I don't think that Horner's a solid defensive asset.
He needs more time.
Yeah, not quite. I would say, especially on the hitting side. And now we've got a couple of pitchers here. Alek Manoah.
There's only so much you could do as a pitcher to help your team win, and honestly, Alek Manoah still needs room to develop. Yes, he was an All-Star this year, but also you got to factor in the fact that pitchers will have good games and pitchers will have bad games. And the bad games don't reflect on how they are as a pitcher as long as they are consistent with the good games. But
Yeah.
here's the deal. The the teams that win championships need at least a couple of good guys to start. And they don't have to always obviously get to like 5 or 6 innings, but they at least need to get a few good solid innings to bring in the bullpen, and the bullpen has to show up too. But Alek Manoah, he needs time.
I
And
do
yeah.
I do not believe that Alek Manoah is an ace.
I think he's got good stuff,
Good
but
stuff, but not ace level stuff. I
right.
would I would say Juan Soto at this point.
Most definitely
And,
Juan
and
Soto.
last but not least, Shane McClanahan.
This man came off the radar, and I'm still kind of pissed that I don't have him on my fantasy team, but it is what it is. He could also stink near the end of the season, who knows. But seeing what he can do right now, as I am sitting here, looking at my monitor. I think he is pretty good, but he still needs time, just like Alek Manoah. These young studs, yes, they could show hot flashes and rough flashes, but at the end of the day, you gotta like show that you're here to stay and not just here for like a season and then diving off. Because we've seen that with other players too, like Matt Harvey, for example. He was good from 2012 to like 2015 to maybe even 2016 if you want to go through that. But after that, he was jumping from team to team trying to find a steady job and trying to find a place that would call him home because of the fact that his pitching was not as good as it used to be. You gotta, you can't fake it till you make it. You gotta go like it's your last game. You just gotta bite at the bit. And I don't think Shane Mcclanahan has it just yet, but he is showing some good numbers, and I will give him that. But still, I would go Juan Soto.
I think the upside is there on McClanahan. If I had to pick between a pitcher or a star outfielder, I would probably take the outfielder just simply because you get him more often. But I think McClanahan is an excellent piece on the opposite side to build around, especially with the ace of the rotation like potential that you see in him that I see in him.
Can I play devil's advocate really quick?
What's up?
So, Shane McClanahan, like any other Rays player, no matter if they're an offensive player, like in the outfield or what have you, or defensive, like in those positions, yes, they all both play offense and defense, but the Rays like to do like this plug and play approach of putting in a player that isn't well known but also cheap and then getting them to succeed at a high level. Let's do Manuel Margot for example. Let's also do Austin Meadows before he got traded. Austin Meadows was probably one of the better players on their team. Same with Brandon Lau. Same, and Kiermaier's been there for a while, but he's also taken cheaper contracts. But there are a lot of players on that team that are on very cheap contracts, but are also playing like they belong on like multi-year deals worth up to a lot of money and millions and whatever. Yes, they make more than like the league salary, but still, like if I'm the Rays and I'm doing a plug and play. Shane McClanahan came out of left field, like I was saying. And yes, he was, I guess you could technically say he was a plug and play, but he has amazing numbers. You could say the same thing about another player that could be plug and play with the Rays, but you just don't know it yet because they haven't shown it. And that's what the Rays strive in is just plug and play and striving at random times.
And they are very good with superstar development.
Oh, most definitely.
So honestly, if you're talking about the perfect system to build this up, McClanahan is in the healthiest program for it. And I have to respect the Rays for it as a Red Sox fan. And that to me, I will probably take Soto just simply because of frequency, but McClanahan is a great piece to build.
You could honestly, if you're a bigger market team, you could just trade for him with the right amount of players and money involved to get him for from the Rays. I would still say Juan Soto because he's proven. Yes, Shane McClanahan's having a hell of a season, but Soto's been having that kind of range for like the amount of for like years. Even after the fact that he's won a World Series, like he's still showing it. He hasn't really declined a whole lot. He is still at
That's
a
because he's
good
also
level.
yet to reach the prime of his career.
And yeah, you could say the same thing across the pond when it comes to like different sports too, like Mahomes. Like he's gotten like a huge achievement in his career and what have you. I'm not trying to compare the two. I'm just saying like they're both young players and they reach a lot of
Yeah.
milestones early in their career.
Oh, yeah. And now that we've gone through setting the lineup, we now have the simulation. MLB The Show has released its All Stars of the Franchise program, where pretty much like Face of the Franchise and Future of the Franchise is a 30-player program. It's about a 3-week long program. And they also just today dropped throughout the week, they dropped all of their Home Run Derby and All Star content. And they also dropped the Big Poppy program, which is your Big Poppy to Cooperstown.
I think it's kind of weird that they did a rookie version and then the prime version of that. But yes, you get a lot of challenges where it's like you play with Red Sox players, but still. You know how like when they did the Roy Halladay collection for for like the Holiday and Friends
Oh,
challenge back
remember the
in.
evolution players. I think this is how they redid evolution players.
I still think it feels weird because like the Holiday and Friends was like, okay, you get like this rookie Holiday, and then you get the more evolved Holiday, and then you get the prime Holiday. Feel to me it just feels weird, but I kind of get where they're going because you can still use Red Sox players and boost it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how they worked it out. That is one of the and it's a free 99. It's a free 99 that probably will make a good amount of lineups. And it also adds a complimentary piece to my Red Sox theme team if I ever decide to do it.
Do it, do it, do it.
I'm pretty sure with this conquest, and they've also added a couple of conquests and a showdown. So more ways for experience. Yay!
Yep. I am looking forward to sinking my soul into that program and other programs in this game.
Yep. And we have no war room this week due to that extended setting the lineup. So now we go into the closing portions of our show, and we now go into our weekly stud and dud. Ruckus, we're gonna start with you.
All right. So, my stud for this week on episode 16 of the Ruckus and The Menace podcast, I have Albert Pujols getting into the second round of the home run derby. I did not expect that, to be honest, but I was very amazed by it whenever I was watching the home run derby with Spennis. Um, and on that note, speaking of home runs, my honorable mention for stud is Nate Eaton of the Kansas City Royals. He is a rookie and was called up during the COVID games for the against Toronto, and he got his first career home run in Toronto, which was a dinger late in the game, and I was very happy about it. But but my dud for this week, I pretty much alluded to it earlier, but I was also telling Spennis this whenever I was comparing Pete Alonso's home run derby pitcher to Julio Rodriguez's home run derby pitcher. The timing for Pete Alonso's home run derby pitcher was ridiculous and inconsistent. So my dud is Pete Alonso's home run derby pitcher because he took forever to throw the damn ball and he also missed a few pitches, which one of them ended up hitting like the catcher that was just chilling there trying to catch balls. And also the worst part about it was when it got to the point of Alonso versus Julio. that was a disaster for Pete Alonso, especially if like the hype around you goes to like, oh, could he do a three-peat? There was no three-peat with the way this home run derby pitcher was going. It was a it was a disaster waiting to happen. And the way that the pitcher for Julio had it, it was pretty much consistent most of the way, and it was one motion, and they did a very good job of that.
All right. And then my studs, I have an honorable mention. My special mention is a hometown athlete from my area up here in Chase DeLauder was drafted 16th overall to the Cleveland Guardians. Remember that pick that I kind of held back a little bit? This was the guy. This was the guy. Played his ball up here at Hedgesville High School, and then went to college. Played his college ball down at James Madison University in Harrisonburg, and kind of really earned his reputation of being a top prospect for through pretty much just hitting tanks at the Cape Cod League. But my actual stud is to MLB itself for the decision to mic up certain players during the All-Star game. This is an exhibition game with a lot of fun. And they kind of really were starting to understand the assignment with having players like Alek Manoah and his exchange with John Smoltz and Liam Hendricks and trying to yell at Julio to not throw a ball into the stands to get it back so they can keep it. So it just provided like a lot of fun for the game and kind of a way to kind of get people back into it.
It also just helped entertain the crowd, like you were saying, especially when like the game was kind of just more of a pitching matchup, which
Yeah,
I remember 2008's All-Star game was pretty memorable because of the fact that it was so intense offensively versus defensively.
yeah. And then my duds. I gotta call you out, Bad Bunny. I know that you can do a lot on a pro wrestling ring, but pick up the stick and swing. Bad Bunny did not make a plate appearance in the celebrity softball game, having
That, but
Vlad Sr. and Big Poppy bat for him.
I was pissed I didn't even get to see Vlad Senior hit, but even then, like, come on, Bad Bunny, like, you're a Bad Bunny, hit that goddamn ball.
Oh gosh. Man, just it was just bad enough that I'm like, yeah, that was it's like, yeah, you're here trying to do all this and yet you don't swing the bat once.
Here, give me the bat so I can hit you with it, Bad Bunny.
Oh, oh man, I'd be
Jerk.
if I got a great pitch, if I got a great pitch in one of those celebrity softball games, I'm putting that ball over that 200-foot fence, and I will go about 4 or 5 feet up and just flip it.
Put me
I
in,
will bat.
coach.
I will bat flip. I will bat flip.
Will it fly into the stands or will it just be a straight up just like flip?
Oh, it'd be more of a straight up flip, but the ball would be kind of it would be one of those tweeners in between like the distance that it is for the fence and the Hunter Pence almost knocked that first one into the actual stands.
Yeah.
Like he smoked it. But my dud also honorable mention wise has to go to MLB. Yeah, you can do a lot of great things, but at the same time, your pyrotechnics placement for the home run derby participants was kind of not the best, as you left it a little too close for comfort for a couple of your players, and I swear it looked like a part of Ronald Acuna's hair was about to get set on fire. It didn't, but it looked like it was about to.
I saw the video that you mentioned me about on Bleach Report, and I was just like, yeah, they did not look comfortable at the end there, but yeah.
On that stage at all with the pyro behind them, with like the fire behind them, as that fire was just way too close. But on that note here, we're going to close out the podcast here, and that's all the time we have for Ruckus and the Menace. My Twitter handle is Spennis the Menace with the DA in the middle instead of the THE.
And my Twitter handle is at RUCKUSSPORTS97. That is Ruckus Sports 97.
Yep. That's all the time we have. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good one.
Stay frosty.